The first time Cashleigh attempted to take her life was Thanksgiving 2021. And her third and final attempt was 3 months ago. Being a single mom was really chaotic. I remember when my mom used to come down here and visit, she would be so stressed out before she came down, thinking about having 4 kids in the house. Everything would be crazy. But every year when she came down, she would say, I don't know why I freak myself out, because our home has always been actually peaceful and full of love. I own my own home, and the kids actually had a nice upbringing. I have 4 children. Cashleigh was the youngest. Just from the second she was born, she just completed us. She was the youngest, but she had a very old soul. She mothered everybody. She was a really good student. She just always wanted to do the right thing. We never argued. We had words, but it was always a race to see who could apologize first, because Cashleigh understood that the relationship is more important than being right. She cared about people knowing that she loved them and cared about them. Cashleigh was so much fun. She had the best sense of humor. She started having trouble sleeping when it was like late junior high. Of course, I noticed that and we talked about it. And then it got worse in high school. She remembered something that had happened when she was a child that was traumatic. I told her that I would do whatever she wanted to do. If she wanted to go to the police, we'd go to the police. If she wanted to talk to a therapist, that's what we'd do. If she wanted to tell me, she could tell me. But I let my guard down when it came to family and allowed someone to stay with us because they were family. Cashleigh was 8 when this happened, and this person was an adult in their 20s. I only knew what I saw, just this person's actions. And it was upsetting to me. It was upsetting to the kids. So that person had to leave. She really felt isolated. You know, this was a time when she was really trying to come to grips with what had happened. Unfortunately, finding a therapist is ridiculously difficult. She definitely got worse that year. The end of 2021 was her first time attempting to her life. She had trouble sleeping. Her memory was bad, and I can't even imagine what she was dealing with. And her first time attempting was Thanksgiving Day 2021. She had been seeing a psychiatrist, and it was within days of her medication being switched. Darian and I noticed right away, within the first day of her taking that medication, she could not stop crying. And then it was Thanksgiving. I always got up in the morning and checked on the kids. I got up that morning. She was in her bed. She was sleeping, and I asked her if she needed anything. She said no. And I said, okay, I'm going to start cooking. I came downstairs, and a little while later, she texted me something. I was like, what? It made no sense. I ran upstairs and realized that she had basically taken the entire bottle of both of her prescriptions. We called 911. Thankfully, those medications are engineered so that you can't overdose your life with them. They just make you really sick. We went through her room and took things that we thought she could harm herself with. After that, everything in the house, even supplements, was kept in a safe. After that point, I always had her location on her phone. She never fought me on that. She understood. She didn't feel judged. We did not try to make her feel like we thought she was crazy and needed to be supervised all the time. So after that, the first attempt, it was not even a full 60 days until she made her second attempt. She was on life support the second time. They only held her for 3 days, although I begged them to do it for longer. I knew she needed more help than we could give her here at home. We could just give her love and support. I felt so helpless. So that second time she came home, she actually started feeling much better. She had got a job and she was working full time. She was doing much better. Of course, she was still having a lot of trouble sleeping, but she felt better being able to go to a job all day, and it was busy work. You know, she was making money, and I think she just felt better about herself. At some point, they changed her medication again. When they changed the medication, it either, makes you not want to get out of bed, that you can't sleep, that you can't sit still at work. They all have different side effects. So unfortunately, even though her employer really liked her, they had to let her go. And of course, that just made her feel bad. She was very hard on herself. So she took that pretty hard. And right around that time, she met with her psychiatrist, and she said that she was going to stop taking the medication and that she was going to look into supplements, exercise, any alternatives. She had said, I gave the medication a shot, and I can't see one point where it actually made things better that was sustainable and better. So she stopped taking the medications. The first time Cashleigh attempted to take her life was Thanksgiving 2021. The second attempt that she made was January 3rd, 2022, and her third and final attempt was 3 months ago. So on December 1st, I usually work from home, but I had a couple of appointments that day out of the office and went in and checked on her that morning. She had been sick, so she was in bed most of that day. I texted her throughout that day, as was normal. I did not notice anything different about Cashleigh on December 1st. I came home from my appointments. I made her my version of the Starbucks medicine ball, took it up to her, knocked on her door, and went in, and she was like this. She was on her phone. I said, "I'm sorry." And she said, "I'm doing a telehealth appointment with my therapist." And I said, "Perfect, I'll put your tea here." I went out, I closed the door. About 8:15 that night, December 1st, she left. And we have a security system for the house, so I saw that it was her that left and texted her and said, "How you feel? What are you doing?" And she said, "I'm hungry, gonna go get food." I said, "Okay." So there's no red flags. I knew she had job interviews lined up. I knew she had plans. We had plans in the very near future. I had no red flags. I saw that she was at the grocery store. Then I saw that she was at the park. Again, Cashleigh was 20. I mean, I'm 56 years old. There's days where I like to go to the park, sit in my car and listen to music. So that was not a red flag. We were texting back and forth. There was nothing. I told her I loved her. She said, "I love you too." I didn't go to sleep until I knew she was back home. She came home a little bit after 11. I went to sleep. The next morning was a Friday. It was December 2nd. I woke up and I looked at my phone. I noticed that somebody had left the house. I looked at her location to see if I could see where she was, but it wouldn't come up. And I was like, that's weird. She never fought me on that. She knew that kept me sane to know where she was. So I got up, I opened up her bedroom door. She was gone. And then the second I looked at her, she was gone. She'd been gone for a while. I ran and got my phone and called 911. She had her life. She was cold by the time I found her. She had no pulse. I stayed with her. I tried not to cry. I tried to stay calm and just kissed her and told her how sorry I was, how much I loved her. Like, the moment that you realize that you're never gonna see someone that you love that much again is just terrifying. The day that she left was, like, hands down, the worst thing that could ever happen to any of us in our family. Everything from that moment forward, I wish that I could just put in a file that's marked things I just wish I didn't have to deal with. It's just overwhelming. My sister got here. She had to come down from Washington State. I just fell into her arms. Thankfully, she just got me on the right track, held me up, and just kept, saying, "We got to do this, we got to do that." That Sunday, we held her service. We did a celebration of life. We honored her so wonderfully. Cashleigh was like this whole soul, and everybody knew it. Coroner's report mentioned that the police department located a letter written by Cashleigh under her pillow that they never told us about. And I still don't have the original. I was allowed a copy of it. I had to drive down to the coroner's office, because that's really fun when you're grieving your child, and get a photocopy of it to read her last words to us. The backside of it was her last wishes, and they denied us that. And I got a copy of it 3 months after the fact. That needs to be changed. And that's one of the things that I'm going to advocate for. I understand it was evidence. I understand that they had to investigate, but when somebody writes in their note, this is what I want done with my body. And I've agonized over the last 3 months whether or not we made the right decision. But I could have been told. I think that's disgusting. That shouldn't be protocol. First few weeks, Darian and I did not sleep. We were like zombies here at home. I've lost more than 10 pounds. I can barely eat, one meal a day. It is so incredibly difficult to try to adjust to life without Cashleigh. She was such an integral part of all of our lives. Even before she left us, it was important for us to share the struggle of even trying to get her matched with the right therapist. I've learned a lot about that. It's my responsibility to pass my knowledge on, right down to be careful who you let be around your children. I'm sharing our family's story because it's important for people to know that when you lose a child in a tragic way, like I have lost Cashleigh, I know you think that you are literally never going to get out of bed, but you are. You're not always going to cry. And two, though, I try to just stay as human as possible and relay that as well, because it's so important to cry. Scream if you have to. Bang on your steering wheel. Let it out. It's an important part of the process. I appreciate people taking the time to watch this. I appreciate everyone who's reached out to me. The truth is, I'm grieving, and so I can help people. That's my way of healing, is to help others, because that's what Cashleigh would have done. Cashleigh would have helped other people. My girlfriends down here have become my family, my rock. The second I hung up the phone with 911, I started calling them, and they showed up. They were right here. They never left my side. I've had a few setbacks, but I feel better mentally. I feel stronger mentally. I'm not going to be shamed into accelerating my grief. I absolutely love walking into Cashleigh's closet and grabbing one of her sweaters and just burying my face, just taking her in. If I do that in 5 years, then that's what I'm doing in 5 years. That's just how special she was.